No, Michael Cooper wrote a book on it, and it's not just a book, it's a damn good book. I would recommend it to everyone. And here he is, Michael Cooper.
So the first order of business is, can you hear me well, or do I sound like I'm talking like with a pillow over my face? Higher, louder, all the things. All right, is it better now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? That's a little feedback you get. All right. Is it good? I can use this mic if you guys don't think it's sounds nice.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about this guy. I gave it my best.
You have to turn that on.
It's like no one heard Honoré for like the first half of it. Wait, you want to smell my coffee? This would be a bad thing? Oh, you drink my coffee, I see. So, who has ever felt like that about their Facebook ads? Yeah, all right. Come on, really? Only like a fifth of you at most put your hands up. I don't believe that, for starters. The rest of you must never have run Facebook ads, which means it's going to be fantastic for you. So I'm Michael Cooper. I'm a science fiction author. I first published it in 2012, July. I did everything wrong for a very long period of time. I had 3 books out, and I made $300. And then my wife learned about how to do Facebook ads, and that happened in June. And then in October of that year, I made $25,000 with 3 books. And then I used to be a software architect, and I'm a huge data nerd and whatnot. I actually had built advertising platforms in the past, so I got really excited about data and whatnot. Like I said, honey, I'm doing Facebook ads now. And she was happy with that because she was bored, right, honey? Yes, excellent. Yes, she's very supportive. I tell you this because I want to describe the thing that happened to me, and some folks know this from the previous talk we had, so I'm going to try and keep it really quick. Was that I was one of those people that kind of like hit the things just right, found an audience, and Amazon was like, bing, and we're going to make your book sit in the top 1,000 for 5 months, and then you're going to sell lots and lots of books. And I was terrified because I didn't know exactly why I was selling so many books, and I knew that meant it could disappear the next day. If you don't know what's causing your success, you don't even know why it's there. It's going to be gone, and it will be gone, right? Like magic doesn't last forever. Everybody that writes fantasy novels knows that there's a price for the magic. You can't use the elf stones all the time. Your kids are weird, right? Terry Brooks. Wow. There's so many Terrys, I get them all confused. So we got more ads and whatnot, and I had this thing happen where 1 year ago, November 1st last year, I released my 4th book, and I was also trying to quit my job, and they were a smaller company. If I just left, they'd be screwed. So I didn't actually get to write another book I had another book out until April 1st. So I had a 5-month period where I didn't release any books, and I quit my job on January 1st. So I was staring at 3 months with, praying that this whole writing thing was going to work for me. So I really spent a lot of time trying to understand Facebook ads, trying to play with them and learn about them and whatnot, and was able to actually make it so that over the course of those 5 months, by constantly funneling new readers into my series and making sure they're moving along nicely, I was able to I think the lowest we ever got was $11,000. So we went from 25 down to 11,000 over the course of 5 months without a release, and with only 4 books out there. Which is not, there are people that have done better than that here, and there are people that have not. And it's a lot of it has to do with the advertising that I did. And I was very, very religious about tracking it, because I wanted to know what things I could do that would make the sales. Chris Fox probably around here somewhere, I'm gonna make him feel a little bit bad. I don't want Amazon to sell my books for me. I love it when they do, but I want to be the master of my destiny. I want to be the one that's like driving the sales, and I know that if I do these actions, I will sell the books. And then I'll sell the next book, and the next book, and the next book, and the next book. And my goal right now is to have 600 books by 2030, so I got a lot of work to do. Yeah, it's crazy. I think I'm insane. I reserve the right to tap out somewhere before I hit 600. So I did a lot of experimentation with Facebook ads, probably down to the tune of maybe $30,000 worth of experimentation, trying out different things, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. And the first thing that I tried to do, so I've been as a software architect, I've been building ads a lot. I worked on a product marketing team where we built $60,000 software suites that we were selling, and I understood how funnels work, and I understood like how much the value of the lead was and all sorts of things. And I knew that I'd done some advertising, I knew how to make some ads. So I made these pretty ads with text on them and the book cover, and I thought these ads look great. And Facebook didn't think so. Facebook doesn't want those ads. So I had to learn a lot about what Facebook wants. And so this is sort of the first truth of advertising on Facebook. And that is that Facebook doesn't want your ads to look like ads. That's it. They don't want your ads to look like ads. They want people's feeds to look like pictures of cats and food and other stuff that people are going to click on. They don't want things that really look like ads because their users don't want ads. So I had to learn that what Facebook really wanted is they wanted just a picture for my ad. And I was like, oh, there's all this text I want to put in. I realized I have other places for text and whatnot. So then I think, well, the perfect picture for my Facebook, for my ad is my book cover. It's not your book cover. And I test this every month to make sure I'm not leading them astray. Book covers will cost more and sell less. And it's just the way it's going, because Facebook doesn't want stuff with text. And if you take off the text, unless you're a talented artist, you're going to end up with something that was a portrait and it had negative spacing around the person's head or whatever your thing is that has the right spacing, and you suddenly make it landscape where you cut it here and you got like an eyeball, a mouth or something like that. And even if you don't have that, the layout of the art isn't that good. So one of the second truism, I'm going to try and go relatively faster, is that you want to use just plain old stock photos for your Facebook ads. You want to go to deposit photo, and you want to type in the thing that you write and find the image that looks the best to you. And the reason why you want an emotional connection, and you also want the image that's going to have the most contrast with the Facebook feed. It's not anything that you want to have. You have to consider that this is an image you want someone to scroll past in their feed and have it pop. So what I'm going to do is actually show something useful here. I'm going a little bit out of order. So these are like images that when you see them, they pop, they grab you. This girl, she looks angry, but you know what? She actually sold a lot of books. Stuff like that. People see images like that in their feed and it grabs you. And some of these are actually covers. A couple of these are covers because I commissioned covers that have layouts that I thought worked well. But most of these are stock photos that you can get. And these things work really well for selling ads. And when you make an ad on Facebook, I call these ones like Starship ads. These are like space porn. Yes, Starship ads. Yeah, there you go. Something's evocative. This one's actually not very good. I put in this example of a picture that looks good at first for certain things, but it's the wrong ratio. Oh no, I'm back again. Is my battery down? No, it's good. All right, just didn't like me for a second. That's actually an example of a bad one. Some other good ones. Oh no, I'm doomed. Yep. Emergency. Check. I'm probably like sweaty in my hands. There's a lot of you out here. You're very intimidating, actually. So the reason why I'm actually going this a little bit backwards from how I intended to. This usually seems to happen in a regular presentation. Because I want you guys to understand that the first thing people see when they're going to see your ad is they see the image, and the image needs to be evocative. It doesn't need to be bang on. It just needs to get people to stop and read your text and click. And Facebook likes images that don't look like ads, and like images that don't look like book covers. And I think they don't want things with text, and some of these ads, these things will do very well. So I have some ads that actually ran for. I have one ad that's actually run for a year now, and has made me $27,000 from one ad. And it did really well, and it eventually petered out. And that ad was actually what I call my. Let's see where are we here now. I've got a whole bunch of ads to show you guys. Apparently, I've got people talking to too. That's great, guys. What's a jet reader? Ask my Landerling. Where'd it go? Jasmine Wall, why are you here? Got a lot of tabs. It's important to have a lot of tabs. Let's just a lot of ads. Let's just give a second. I had this ready. I swear I had this ready. Here we are. So when I first said, okay, I really have to find an image that's going to work. It's going to be evocative. It's going to cause my readers to stop. I was immediately jealous of all the romance authors. Because romance authors get to put man chest on the cover and they're all sad, right? What the heck? Oh, good. Okay, big sure, like, yes. Oh, think of all the friend requests, everybody. I love you very much. So I'm like, okay, I can't put And if I could put topless women on my ads, I'm sure I would do great. But I can't do topless women on my ads, and I don't have man chest in my books. So I thought, what's the equivalent in my genre of that sort of thing? And apparently spaceship ass does just as well. But that's what sort of thing I was thinking about. I guess I did a bunch of thinking, like what's the evocative image that works for my genre, that tells like this is starships, this is space, this is going to be a big adventure type of thing. Like some of the ones that I've used, I thought I had one here, but I didn't. It's like a woman who has like fairy ears, and she's like kneeling down by a still lake or something like that. Like you'll see images like that, and you'll know because they speak to you, because you are in theory writing something that you have the feels for. So you're going to know about the right thing. The other thing that I do in my ads, and I have 3 different types of ads. One of the types of ads is an ad where I'm speaking as me. I've actually outed myself here. You guys are all going to do this. I run my ads as all sorts of different pages because they work better when you don't run them as an author. Because you're just a trusted third party that's recommending this book. So what I have ads where I run them as me, and those one come from my page. And this one's like, it's a deal, go now, buy, shout, wow, it's amazing. And those are like the type of ads that you're used to seeing from people in their marketing. Well, you used to be seeing. Everybody's getting savvy about this sort of stuff now. And then the other type of ad is a plot ad. Plot ads work really well, mostly, not always, but mostly for targeting men. So if you see this ad that I'm running here, this ad is just 100% plot. It talks about a colony ship, and it's leaving Earth, the ship never returns, and oh my god, it's really cool, big starship ass, lost colony ship. It doesn't even say it's a book. It doesn't say it's a book. It doesn't have the protagonist's name in it. All it is just pure plot. And there's a certain type of person who loves that. And what I did is I targeted people who read Heinlein, who read Starship Troopers, who read like a lot of these great stories from the days of yore, who read Livin' and Ringworld and whatnot. I knew they wanted that sort of, like this is the hero's journey without the hero. But you know there's a hero, so you know he's gonna be in there. And this, like I said, this ad, like I really pity anyone who ever uses this picture on their book cover, because 500,000 people have now seen this ad. So this picture is pretty much burned as far as the internet's concerned. Hopefully no one's using it, I apologize. But it works really well, and it also does some neat things too, because what ads have on Facebook is social proof. Because AI sucks. AI is not going to take over yet, because you just use Siri and she didn't understand that you meant cheeseburger, and she thought you meant like you wanted a taxi or something like that. So Facebook actually can't really tell if people like your ad that well without seeing humans interact with your ad. And that's called social proof. And social proof are likes, clicks, it's read mores. Interesting little side note, when you view this ad, normally you can't see all that text. There's a read more link in there. When you click read more, Facebook's like, they're interacting with this ad. People like it. I'm going to show it more and charge less. So long ad copy actually works really well. My longest ad actually is I think it's 4 full page scrolls. And that ad sells, I think it makes about $120 a day in net profit. It's actually, I just pasted all my reviews in. It just kind of got crazy. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. I did it, and I'm like, it's just printing money. It's just sprinting out of my computer at me now. So I left it. So the social proof is people interacting with your ad. And the best thing about ads is that they're just like the newspaper. Bad news is good news, or all news is good news, or whatever it is. This ad is full of people arguing about what the ad's about. It's awesome. Like people are like, that sounds like feature, stuff like that. And it's like some people are like, I love this book. It's amazing. And other people are like, this is stupid. I've never heard of this before. I've got one guy. Some people will troll my ads. I got this one guy that's he's like, this is the most effing boring thing I've ever heard of. And I got all these people that just sort of wander and say, you must be great at parties. It's just awesome. I don't get rid of it. And I've actually sold books, like print copies and stuff, interacting with people in this ad. So and at first I thought I've made a terrible mistake by making this really ambiguous ad that no one can understand. But this ad is directly responsible for $25,000 worth of revenue, and I think I spent $2,500 on it, which is pretty awesome. So this is the other rule of running Facebook ads: is no one knows what they're talking about because it changes all the time. So you have to experiment. You have to try new things constantly. You have to say, you know what, last month this didn't work, but it felt right to me, I'm going to try it again. Now, there's money attached to that, so you have to be aware of the fact that it costs you money to do this sort of thing. But there are things that do work and don't work at different times. And there's things like, for example, there are some scenarios that I've tested a little bit where a book cover will cost $1.50 a click, but it sells a book every click. And that does happen from time to time. But also what will happen is Facebook eventually will start to penalize you for ads with text on it. It'll start to get more and more expensive. But you can do things like that. Sometimes you can just put a book cover out there and actually make a whole ton of money. Sometimes they work best on boosted posts as well, that you can get a lot of action with that sort of thing. So that's one way to do an ad where it's all plot. Another way to do an ad where it's all character. And women typically respond to ads through all character better than men do, but like everything, there's exceptions. It's not always that way. Those ones are much more like what Brian Cohen was talking about yesterday with his blurbs. Start with character, end with character. And it's all about the person and their likes and what they do and stuff like that. And when I do ads for people, or I talk to people about what they might want to put in their ads, I say, tell me the quirky thing about your character. What bar do they like? Where do they go to eat? Where do they hang out? And get that in your ad. Because people relate to people a lot. And you want to make sure that you get personal connections. So you can put that sort of stuff in your ad. And the reason why I recommend doing stuff like this is because what I believe that we're doing with ads and with our words is we're selling our skills as a storyteller. And this is your first touch point where you sell your skills as a storyteller. I don't believe in writing ads unless you're doing like a sale where it's just like buy now and it's going to be cheap for a certain amount of time. I don't believe in doing ads that don't work as a storyteller, which is great for us because we all suck at short copy. We're all really bad. Well, maybe not all of us. I'm sure there's some people out there like, I write short copy all the time and I'm amazing, and I want to hire you to help me. But we are much better at long form. We don't write short copy well. So if you can tell a story in your ad, if you can bring your skills in and show people that you are a good storyteller, then you will do better. Because the thing you got to remember is that when you're running ads on Facebook, you're not advertising something for 99 cents or free or for $3.99 or something like that, because that's really not that much money. It's like a large coffee. What you're selling them is saying, as this last meeting too, is you're saying in the next 10 hours you're going to read this and you're not going to wish that you could just beat me with it when you're done. And that's what you're really trying to sell. So you're selling the fact that you're a storyteller and you're worth the time. And this is your first point where you can do that. And that sort of leads me into talking about what ads really mean to you. I'm going to actually show you a couple other ones here too if I don't have this up jazz on the wall. No, that's one of my grumpy readers. This actually, by the way, this is an exception to the rule. This is a book cover. And so I do experiment to see if certain things are working or not. And every now and then I find something that breaks the rules, which is good because this particular book cover sells about 25 books a day on $15 spent for the ad, which is great. And it's its first book in the series, so every sale is costing something like, I won't say every sale is costing something like $1, and with the read-through and the KU and everything like that, I think every sale is making about $7. So this is basically a machine where I put $1 in and every day I get $7. So it's a fantastic machine. So like if you could have that machine, right, you nurture that machine. It's clean, it's old, it's got a 4 backup generators, And I don't know if this one says it's a book either now that I think about it. I totally ripped off the Save the Cheerleader, Save Humanity thing. I don't know, it's blatant. Yeah. This is a cautionary tale. This particular ad actually did really well. I ran this for another author, and we took a series of hers that was kind of like doing all right. We carried it along, and we brought it up. This particular picture, this girl is wearing pants. And you can see a little bit of one butt cheek right there. It's like a bathing suit or something like that. And I cropped it using the tools in the ad manager, and for whatever reason on some feature phones and other phones, it didn't crop the image. So there's some comments on this ad, I'm not sure why you're showing me this picture, but I guess the book's all right. So I just thought I'd share that little note with you guys. Crop the picture down. It's so bad.
And it's not spaceship ads.
No, it's not spaceship ads. No. I'm really sorry, Julian. So anyway, there's little just cautionary tale, and then other things too, where and I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'll use stuff that works well. This ad was for a comedic sci-fi thing, and this one actually worked really well for men, surprisingly. This thing was like 7 cents per click in the UK and the US, and it was a great ad that worked really well. So and also, it's true stood up when people scroll past it. I'm kind of still surprised I got this one past Facebook. But so I wanted to kind of show you guys what some of these ads look like, and how you're trying to tell a story and engage people in the ad. And you don't really have. This one actually does say it's for books, but a lot of mine don't say they're for books. Because what I really want is I want to get people onto that Facebook page as quickly as possible. And what these ads do as well, in fact, especially this ad. If you look at not that one, because that's just a 20 books group. This is awesome. This particular book That does not say it's for a book. The internet works. I am really amazed. All right. Yes, that's great, Amazon. That's really weird. It's the wrong book cover. It's my old book cover showing up there. Because everybody got mad at me that she, oh wait, never mind, this is the right book cover. I'm losing my mind today. The old book cover, she was holding the gun sideways. It was like, you can't hold guns sideways. When she's a cyborg, it doesn't matter. She's not actually using the trigger, the iron sights, but I got the cover made so she's holding the gun upright. But what you notice here is I actually made my tagline match the ad. Because that ad was working so well, but no one knew what the story was about because I was really oblique in the ad. So I actually made my tagline match the ad. And when I did that, my conversion on this page went up by 15% through that ad. So you want to take your ads that are working well and experiment with them and make sure that the funnel you're driving people through is something that's working seamlessly. And you want to make sure it's not stupid if someone doesn't come into the story by another route. And then this interesting thing as well is that this then, all my copy from here on out is actually all character. Because people still do relate to characters. But this is a cool thing you can do. I recommend putting a whole lot of shit underneath your description. Oops. Who knows what I'm buying now? So anyway, that's something else that you want to do with your ads as well. So the where am I at here now? Come on, phone. All right. So the other thing you want to do with your ads is you need to know if they're profitable. And that was one of the other things that hit me at first too. Like I have no idea if I'm making money or if I'm losing money on these ads. And basically, your ads are an investment in your books. And if you can't tell if you're making money or not, that's probably a bad thing. So what I did, and many of you guys will see this, I'm going to go through kind of briefly so that folks will know what it's all about. No, it's probably not big enough. Just give me a second. So what I did is I said I want to know how much money I get when I sell book one. When I was in software and we were selling something, we knew what the cost of a lead was and what the value of a lead was. Like when I worked for Acquia, we knew that every single email we got was worth $15, and it cost us. As long as it costs us under $15 to get that lead, we were going to be profitable. And I didn't want to be well under $15, we'd make lots of money. So I wanted to know how much the value of a sale of book one was. And what that gets into is read-through. What's your read-through? What's your book over book read-through? What's your cumulative read-through? And when you sell book one, how much do people fall off as they read through? And the other thing, if you're in KU, I'm going to talk a little bit of people who aren't series too, because I feel sorry for you. Actually, this one's actually if you're running the first book free. So I would have one for free. I have one if there's not a first book for free. You put in your page count, you put your delivery fee, the whole thing, because it all adds up. So what it works out to in this particular example is that this person has a 65% drop off on book one, and then Peter slows down, they kind of sit in the 90s after that. And what that means in this 10-book series is the sale of book one is worth $10.79. And the KU value for this particular example is worth $19.88. And the way I work that out is that I say, okay, here's the page reads you got. Here's what they convert to in actual full reads. Book one is squirrely because you don't know if they read the whole thing, but you know if they read book two, they read all of book one. So it kind of comes out with a wash. So in this particular example, a sale of book one is about $30 is what you get out of it. And you also get your ratio too, which is kind of nice. You can see that the sales to read ratio is 95% of people that buy are in KU, and you can adjust your rate here. In this spreadsheet, you only fill in the green things and everything else all populates. So what that means is, so sort of give you guys a baseline. If you have an ad that costs us a 30-cent cost per click, and you sell a book every 30 clicks, which is kind of the baseline. Like if you're selling more than a book every 30 clicks, you're doing great. And if it's less, then you need to start trying to look at how to fix it. It's costing you $9 to make a sale. In this particular scenario, a sale is worth $10 in reads and $20 in KU. So I know that every time I spend $9, Amazon hands me $30. And it takes you about 6 months to get it. So there's no investment on the planet that gives you 3x in 6 months. I mean, there's probably some, but it's a really good investment actually if you look at it that way. But if you were to think about it, like, man, I'm spending $9 to sell my 99-cent book. You think that's an abysmal failure, right? You think that's the worst thing ever. That you might as well just throw your money in the fireplace that you're spending $9 to sell book one, and it's not great. I mean, you in theory would want to be better than that. But that sale with book one, given your track record of read-through, has a particular value attached to it. That in regular business, you would call it like it would be equivalent kind of like your cost per lead or your cost per sale. And then this whole thing is your ROI that you get off your book. So I knew that I couldn't really start doing a lot with ads until I knew that. I had to know where my thresholds were. where if I sold, if I was at 40 cents per click, is that profitable? If I'm at 10 cents per click, how much do I jump around and dance, But the other thing you have to keep in mind too is you need to know how much those clicks are converting into sales. Because I've run some experiments with some folks, and I've run some experiments myself, where some groups that were very engaged and clicked a lot didn't buy at all. And this particular scenario was an author. We were trying to see if there were different political demographics, because it was sort of a semi-politicized thriller. Not really politics, it's more like sort of general perception. We were breaking up red state men and red state women, blue state men, blue state women, and trying to see which ones were responding better to the ad, which ones were converting. And red state men were some of the most engaged with the ads, and they never bought. We use affiliate tracking for all of this. You're not supposed to do that. You don't use affiliate tracking for this. We use affiliate tracking for all of this. And Amazon, if you're listening, we would love a way to track sales. That's what we found. I don't need you to, if I get an affiliate account where I get paid and I can track sales, I'd be okay with that. I just want to track sales. So we worked that, and it was sort of interesting. And I feel sorry for this poor individual because she was tracking so many affiliate codes and working them all up, but she was super diligent. And what we did find is that a tweaked copy on the ad made it so something they started buying. Because we aligned the expectations of the text in the ad with the book that they were getting, and then we took this group of people that never bought and turned into a group of people that were buying, and it worked out quite well. So there's a lot of stuff you want to do like that. You can't assume that clicks turn into sales. You actually do need to track them, and it's really hard to do. And so you do make some assumptions, but at least having something like this, you kind of know what your baseline is. Like this is the point where I'm still making money. This is the point where it's gray, where I may or may not be making money. And this is the point where I'm just losing money like crazy. Because the most important thing you can do is stop ads that aren't performing as quickly as possible. So they're not spending your money. So for those of you who may not have read my book, you have to think about the fact that if you spend $5 a day, which is your minimum, Amazon doesn't pay you for 90 days, but they pay you for 60 days, but day one of a month gets paid 90 days later. So you're going to spend $150 a month one, $150 a month two, $150 a month three, which is $450 before you get paid for that first sale, and the reader hasn't read through yet. They haven't made it to book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might not see that money for maybe another 2 months. So you do have to have a little bit of money set aside to start doing this, and you got to ramp up slow. So let's talk about what happens when you have an ad that's working well. Just my time that crap. I'm talking way too much, you guys. What you want to do with an ad that's working well is you want to start ramping up your spend, but you don't want to ramp up your spend too much. And that has to do with audience saturation. You're gonna run into a scenario where there's only so many people you're showing your ad to, and if you show your ad to them too much, they don't click, and Amazon just starts charging you more money for your clicks. Get away with your Starship butt. So you got your relevancy score here, which tells you how relevant your ad is. Your relevancy score should be 7 or above. It's not your ad is not working for your audience, and then Facebook will charge you more because they figure you're nonsense and you're bothering people. So your ad, your relevancy should be 9 or below. Your frequency, this is over the lifetime of this ad, so this is a year. So that means everybody that saw this ad saw it 3.8, not 7 times. That's how many times I've shown this ad to the same people. And what will happen if you start increasing your money, Amazon's going to show it more, or Facebook's going to show it more and more to the same people, and they're not going to click, but Facebook wants to spend your money, so they just charge you more for the clicks than they do have it. So you need to watch that sort of thing. So that's why you ramp up your spend slowly, because you want to find where the ceiling is for the audience that you're working with, for how many times you can expose your ad to these people. Expose your ad to these people in a day without them getting fatigued by it. And you'll find that every ad has a ceiling, and they have different ceilings. I found that most ads top out $45 a day. I've never found an ad that can actually perform well above $45 a day. And one thing can happen is if you brought an ad up to say $45 a day, and it's like 10 cents, 15 cents per click that starts to creep up, you just decrease your spend. And now you're going to show the ad to fewer people. That's how I kept this ad going for so long. I actually moved the spend up and down over the course of a year. And then at a certain point, I took this same ad and I ran it for the UK. This was actually one of my favorite things I did. So you can actually see here, there's a men UK, men CA, men AU, a women's one, and a couple different versions of this ad. And I ran that ad for the UK, and actually took, using just this ad, I took that book and put it in the top 400 in the UK store for 2 months using this ad. And that's all it took. Just because I took the exact same ad and just ran it again. You can see I did another one where I targeted the exact same ad, targeted against Battlestar, Galactica, Babylon 5, and Deep Space Nine fans. And then when I did that is, if you follow my book, you can narrow your audience. You put in your audience, and there's a little link that magically appears as narrow audience, and I pick people that also like Amazon Kindle. And that way, many people that watch these shows and happen to have Amazon Kindles. If you go wide, there's another one's called like ebook fans or ebook reader fans or something like that. You can do them as well and start doing your wide stuff. And that's how you kind of will take an ad and you'll scale it up. And then of course all ads are gone, so you need to also constantly watch your ads, particularly ads so you can become ineffective. And because you know what your conversion rates are, you know your thresholds of profitability are, you know actually when to kill the ad, which is good, because if you don't, you'll just lose all your money. I think I've touched upon all of the really quick things I want to do. This doesn't take that long for 40 minutes to go away. Yeah, so like I said, the other thing is, like I said, if I didn't catch it, that frequency, that relevancy number that shows up on the ad tab is how relevant your ad is to people who are seeing it. You get that after 500 impressions. But sometimes I've seen it as low as 470, and sometimes I have to wait to 500. And if that number is below 7, your ad is broken. It's not working in some fashion. Your audience is wrong. Your image isn't resonating. So actually, when I run ads, I actually usually put like 5 or 6 different images in, and I pick the one that's working the best, and I kill off all the other ones. And that's how you go with that. I think we'll just go to questions now, because you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk so much so quickly. You might want to come to the mics, I think. Is it working? I hope it's working. And I'll be around. You guys can messenger and everything like that too. I'm trying to condense what is normally 10 hours worth of information that I could get down to 40 minutes.
Hey, have you done A/B tests with using your own page versus other pages for the same ad?
You know, I've never done that. No, wait, I did do it once. I did it last December, and I found that using other pages out of my author page last December, I actually tested again, had a 20% a better rate for clicks and engagement.
Could I just ask you, how many other things do you post on those pages to make them, real pages?
I probably, on this particular page I was showing before, Flag Lost to Stars, Facebook Lover, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, I promo other author stuff. So that, and I read everything I promo, not the whole thing, but like I'll read their books to make sure that I'm giving my people value. And I can actually take a book now, put it on that page, and get about 1,200 impressions for free too. Because over the last year, I've built up this group of people to follow that page. So I recommend it. It takes a while, but you'll be able to build it up and get that.
How much do you think the price of the book that you're linking to affects the conversion rate?
It affects it a lot. And there's a lot of factors involved in that. Like if you're basically reaching out to people that don't know you at all, and you're especially if you're a new author, and you're saying like, hey, you're targeting other authors. Targeting other authors works well in science fiction. It doesn't seem to work in romance, at least in the ads I run for romance. And romance you can target interests and whatnot. But so these other people coming along, like I don't know this person from Adam. And if you're new, 99 cents will work very well, and something like $3.99, just no one will buy at all. So it has a huge impact. If you have a known name, you don't have to worry about that as much. People will buy regardless of price. There is still some issue between it, but I've seen people that actually successfully run ads for books all the way to $8.99 and have done that very profitably, not just one book sometimes.
I can see how this works really well for series. Can you talk a little bit about nonfiction, especially when the books are usually just one-offs?
So I don't have a lot of experience advertising nonfiction, and I'm sorry about that. And I don't have a lot of experience advertising because of aren't series. I have some because I've helped other authors with it. And what we've done in fiction scenarios is we sort of created pseudo-series. Or actually, I learned series is the plural of series, which just drives me nuts. It just doesn't work for me. So in those scenarios, we create a lot of back matter that linked and talked about the other books and whatnot, and that helped drive action through the books. I don't know if that would work for sure in nonfiction. I mean, if they're all thematically related in nonfiction, they probably would. But if they're not, they wouldn't. Chris Fox maybe is someone, if you guys can hunt him down, he might be the best guy to talk about that, because he's, my people I know, has the most, I mean, I guess honorary too, have a lot of nonfiction that are sort of semi-series and they help you with that.
Video ads.
So video ads work really well. And Amazon doesn't charge you too much for like the first 3 seconds and stuff like that. And I think once you get your ad game down, you're on fleek. That's so cool. On fleek, cool? No, not cool. I love saying it. No, it's not cool. It's just fun. You can do very well with video ads. The problem is that they're very expensive, so mistakes are expensive. So I would recommend that you nail static images first, and then you move into video. Unless you happen to have a bunch of video, you can always try it. But I would recommend, like, your minimal expenses for getting video ads is about $50, and you can find images on deposit photos for a couple of bucks. So your cost of failure is much smaller with images. But once you kind of got your game down, video is a great thing to move into, because Facebook wants to show video, and they'll actually run it for less.
You just
said something kind of off the cuff about romance targeting interests instead of authors in your experience.
In my experience.
Can you talk a little bit about building audience for romance writers and
So
the fact that you didn't target other romance authors?
So I don't have a huge amount of experience advertising romance. I've only done it for 3 or 4 authors now. But what I found is that the authors that they're available on Amazon for romance are just so heavily targeted that you can't get a good cost per click on them. And I don't know the genre well enough to find other authors that weren't, so part of it was me, but I was actually able to get very good cost per clicks, like all the way down to like 15 cents per click in some scenarios, just targeting general interests on romance, which is about as good as you can get. I mean, sometimes you can every now and then you can get ads that get down into like the sub 10 cents, but 15 is pretty good.
So you would say it's better to focus on general interests instead of demographics and other authors or movies?
Well, you should certainly experiment, because what works today doesn't work tomorrow, and as I give pieces of advice, people will flood into doing that thing, and it something becomes a bad idea too. So, like I actually grew in like a whole bunch of my targets by telling people what I target for science fiction, and all my ads became twice as expensive. Yeah, but what I did in science fiction, and maybe romance people would know this better, I targeted the golden age authors because no one else was targeting them, and I just didn't happen to know what the golden age romance authors are, but there probably are some. You can maybe target them, and maybe they'll work better. But it's really the name of the game is experiment a lot and try different things to see what works. And what worked yesterday may not work today, and vice versa.
Okay, so when I do a duplicate of an ad, it's never as good as the original. Am I doing something wrong?
So when you're duplicating, are you clicking this little duplicate link here?
Yes.
Um,
I've tried it in the campaign, I've tried it in the ad set. You know, I'll have an ad that's doing really good, so I'll duplicate it because you suggested that. But it never does as good.
So the one thing that will hit you a lot of the time is that you don't have the social proof on the duplicated version, because on your comments and everything come over. Your comments and your likes and your shares don't come over when you duplicate the ad. There is a way around that. And I sent out a newsletter post that I put up in 20Books as well. When you duplicate an ad or you edit an ad, there's actually an option to use a different post. I can't show it here because it's kind of convoluted. You have to get like the thing out of the URL. But I'll find the post and I'll put that one right up the top again. But you can take the same ad and put it in multiple ad sets, and then you don't have as much of that problem because you have the same social proof pushing against that same ad. I don't do it all the time because sometimes I have a bunch of assholes on one ad. Maybe I don't want to use the same one again. It's a bunch of jerks are like making fun of my ad or something like that. Making a new ad. That's the thing is whenever that happens, I have people jerks. I run the same ad in the UK, and they're nice. It's totally true. Like, there'll be jerks in the US, but the UK, same ad, they're like, oh, this is a great ad. Like, yeah. Sorry, rude.
Let me do this? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us your general impression about boosted posts so that
Sure.
we can get that
Get that out of the way?
done?
The boosted posts, I use them for certain things, because you can actually get away with book covers and whatnot more boosted posts. You don't get penalized them for as much. But the thing to keep in mind is on an ad, like if I go to this ad right here, and I click this picture, I go to the destination. If it's a boosted post and I click that picture, it makes the picture bigger. And you just pay for that. So there you go.
Say that again.
So if this is a boosted post and I click that, it zooms in. The picture isn't a link to your destination. The picture just makes it go to what they call theater mode, and you see the big picture. And then you have to click the link again. So you've added a click. And actually, I don't know for sure if they pay you to charge you for that. It changed recently. I can't remember which way it is, but it's less ideal, I think. But I still do it sometimes. I mainly do boosted posts on my author page on kind of like release announcements, and I specifically target just people that read me because they're going to find the link and they'll be fine. But I don't think that boosted posts are great for getting new eyeballs that haven't seen you before, because you've added possibly a second click into the process of them finding you. Anything else? I've got 1 minute and 4 seconds left. All right, yes, I'll do.
And what is your destination? Do you want them to go to a Facebook page or Amazon page?
Okay, that's a great thing. I should talk about that. I always send them to my Amazon product page because it's the most finely tuned selling page in the universe. Amazon businesses selling things off that product page, and I don't want to put anything between someone getting to that product page and buying. I'm a very strong believer in thou shalt not use ads for building a list. It is the most expensive way to get emails. And it's something like 17 times more expensive than just about every other way of getting emails. If you get my book, and actually I think I even put it in my free PDF, it's in the 20Books section, it's called Facebook Ads for Fun and Profit. I do the math. And I say, you're probably going to pay about $1.50 per email address. But if you do a cross-author promotion, you'll probably pay about 3 cents per email address. I can't remember the exact number, but they're about that far apart. It's pretty ridiculous. I got 8 seconds. I can do it. Yeah. Yeah, so the only ad that really matters for us is traffic. You want to do the traffic ad that drives people to Facebook. All the other ads, they don't give you the picture that takes you to the destination. They promote the like link to the page and stuff like that. So traffic is the ad that you want. That will get you where you need to go. All right. My book is called "Help My Facebook Ads Suck." I've got a couple copies here, so I'll come around the back afterward when everything wraps up. And I've got some print copies, and I've got some USB sticks that have ebook copies on them as well. So they're $5, and I can throw them out to you guys as quickly as possible for money. All right. Thank you.